Hi guys, on the couch is Stacey McKerchar, and it's a bit of a local legends segment to this one. I know that doesn't sit overly well with you, but representing New Zealand at hockey's pretty cool. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
That's good. Right, this is your life. Growing up in mid Canterbury, a rural-based upbringing.
Yep, so grew up in Mayfield, obviously a little rural community, with obviously three older brothers. So went to primary school at Lismore, which is now closed, and then obviously moved and went to Christchurch for boarding school.
So, your family, obviously, they're well known, the Cars in our region, a successful family, give a lot back, especially with your mobile health van and stuff like that. So, was that all a growing process as you were younger? Can you remember sort of what the olds were doing as far as their business and things were going when you were young?
Yeah, so obviously Dad obviously started the contracting when we were kids, and he was always pretty busy. We never saw a hell of a lot of him.
Hmm.
Doing big days, big nights. But you really grew from that, and then obviously developed the business from there. Probably more our, I guess, teenage years. It obviously grew into the other sides of the business, but yeah, definitely saw him work pretty hard through those younger years.
And growing up in Mayfield, I mean, yeah, that's a nice rural background and upbringing. It's all good stuff, isn't it?
It was cool. I mean, obviously having three older brothers, I was probably a little bit of a tomboy. Played rugby with them through my younger years, and it wasn't until I was probably about 10 where mum got me into hockey. But really cool community, and obviously still have a lot to do with those people today.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. Let's talk about when you started hockey at 10. Who were you playing for then?
So played for Cliff Hines combined, and mum actually coached me in those teams, and then um, yeah, pretty much played for them, and then obviously mid Canterbury for the rep stuff. Yeah,
Did you? Was it just a natural? Did it feel like a really good fit for you when you? Can you remember sort of when you
so
started?
I first tried to give it a crack when I was probably about 5 or 6,
Right.
and I was terrible.
Okay.
And I think because I was left-handed, I held it all back to front.
Ah.
So tried it for a little bit, went back to rugby, loved rugby, and then obviously got more physical, and then mum got me back into hockey, and I think I picked it up a bit more naturally then when I was a little bit older.
And although you think that being left-handed would be a disadvantage, it's sort of, I mean, it's like golf. That left hand is that sort of real anchor hand, and the right hand's what you do all your fancy stuff with. So it's not that bad a fit, really, is it?
No, I think once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty good, and probably adds a bit of strength on your reverse side for hitting the ball and that. But yeah,
So did you ever get to play much on the grass, or were you
yeah.
sort of?
So first, right up till I went to boarding school, was all on the grass. We didn't have the turf here.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I didn't mind the grass. Actually, quite enjoyed it. And then we went to obviously when we went to College Trophy. That's when it was on AstroTurf. So it was kind of a mix of you'd be playing here locally on the grass and then going away to a tournament and playing on the turf. So
And it is so different, eh?
yeah, just a lot faster.
Yeah, a lot faster. And you're having to whack the ball a lot more on the
Yeah,
grass to get it to where you want it to go, whereas it's sort of a bit of a push or a flick and it gets there on the turf, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yep, boarding school in Christchurch. Is that where sort of things started really progressing with your hockey?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess for me, I didn't just play hockey. I tried to play a few other sports along the way, but it definitely was. I guess I got identified when I was with McKenna, playing there in some of the tournaments, but then obviously playing up there, I guess you're exposed to a lot more people.
Hmm.
Um, I managed to get in rep teams up there, which then helps you get that little bit further. So it definitely, I think being up there definitely helped me.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of it too, I mean, it comes down to wanting to do it, doesn't it? And that commitment to train and yeah.
Did you have a coach other than your mum, early on, or even into your Christchurch hockey, that was sort of really who flicked the switch for you and helped you, get to where you went to?
I guess probably when I went up there, because I was at boarding school, I had no way to get to practice. So the Collier Trophy for the Chris Edwards, the coach, he used to come and, so he actually coached me for club and for the rec team.
Mm-hmm.
He would come and pick me up for practice and games.
Wow.
And take me to them. So I guess I was pretty fortunate in that respect.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the coaches I've had have been really good.
Yeah.
And they've all added something different, I guess.
I guess when you're up in Christchurch, no disrespect to Canterbury players at all, but the standard across the park is higher, and that lifts your own game, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably when I was playing, Canterbury was the strongest province across New Zealand. I mean, I think they used to have 8 or 9 players in the national team, so going there was definitely probably an added strength and bonus, because you're around those players. And I guess the age group, it was tougher, to compete against. Whereas McKerchar, you're maybe only dealing with 15 to 20 kind of players, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So definitely stronger in terms of that sense, but it's all changed a lot now, obviously.
Yeah. Christchurch or Canterbury seems to have had strong underage sides in hockey for yonks. When I played Hatch Cup, if we kept Canterbury under double figures, we were absolutely stoked. We were stoked.
Yeah.
They were so dominant then, and like you say, a lot of national players. They must have a good setup in Christchurch, in Canterbury.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it has a little bit has changed since, obviously, Black Sticks are based out of Auckland, so a lot of people think they kind of have to move up towards there, but it's still got a strong province, strong base, strong group of coaches.
So when you started playing for Canterbury, who were you rubbing shoulders with then? Can you remember when you first sort of started playing, you thought, oh, geez, I'm playing hockey with them? Was there any of those sort of moments? I guess you were playing club stuff against them though, were you?
No, so obviously when you played for school, you didn't play for club.
Okay.
When you got to year 9, but I ended up actually not playing for school in year 12 and going and playing for a club, because it meant I could then play for the Canterbury women's team.
Right.
And I'd obviously been to the Junior World Cup prior to that, so for me to obviously get into the national team, I had to be playing in the Canterbury women's team.
Okay.
So I didn't really play with those players until I was probably year 12. But there definitely was a massive core of national players like your Anna Lawrence's, Kate Trolloves, those ones were still, I guess, hanging around.
Yeah.
And then you had your Di Weavers, Susie Pearce, those ones, when I kind of came into the start of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Junior Worlds, whereabouts were they?
So they were in Argentina.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must have been a cool trip for you.
Yeah, it was cool, because I think for me, I was never actually in it to begin with.
Right.
And then I went to a camp and got picked out of that. And then so I got into it pretty close to going to the tournament. And I was only young, like I was only 16, and it was under 21, so
Wow.
it was pretty cool.
And you got time on the field?
Yeah.
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 That must have been gobsmacked.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Canterbury, when did you first start getting New Zealand selectors?
Yeah, so I guess back when I was playing, they pitch you in an early age. You had DESO under 15s, under 18s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd made all the age group teams, and then obviously 21s. And then after under 21s, so my first year out of school, so 18, I was selected in the national squad, and pretty much made it from there.
So first game, who was that against?
So it was in Japan, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first tour. So it was just like a 3 nations tour against Japan, Korea, and China, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was that experience when you got to wear the silver fern for the first time and run out there?
Yeah, no, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's always pretty daunting, and I mean, I was fortunate enough there were 5 other new caps in the team, and all of them were girls I'd been with on that under-21 trip. So already knew a few on the team, plus a few Canterbury players. But always daunting for that first game, but pretty special as well.
Yeah. What position did you were you? I think they've changed since I played. Were you like an inner, or do they still have inners?
I reckon I played everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So when I first made the team, I played up front as a striker.
Okay.
And then moved
Is that
back
the old centre forward, or is that an
like
inner?
a centre forward.
Do they still
wing.
have inners?
Yeah, still have inners.
Okay.
They call it midfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then moved back into the midfield. And majority of my time I played as like an inside or a centre half.
Okay.
And then for one of the Olympics, I played as left half. And then kind of went back into the midfield. So I guess I played everywhere bar goalie and fullback, really.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a spot that you loved the most?
I enjoyed the inside forwards or the centre half the best, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Centre half just such a pivotal position, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's on both attack and defence.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You got to be fit to be a centre half.
Yeah, she's a lot of running.
Yeah. Okay. So, were you ever, when you first started playing and representing New Zealand, was it all just, what was the psyche like? Was it all just confident, I can do this? Was there ever moments of doubt? And
there were definitely tough times. I think that bit of we definitely went through cycles of we performed really well, and then we had tournaments where we underperformed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in a team situation, it's tough because you're counting on the whole team. You can't just, you're not individual. You're not. So it's that team side of it where there were times when other people let you down, or which was tough. So we definitely had roller coaster rides. I had change of coaches throughout the time. So I had 3 coaches while I was in my 8 years of playing.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes not that easy either.
No.
And then obviously injuries. So I did my ACL twice throughout my career. And that set me back a wee bit too in terms of trying to rehab, get back into it. There were timelines of trying to get back for major events.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's definitely times when it was tough, but then there were pretty cool experiences as well.
I guess those major events, you talk Olympics and Commonwealth Games, having those to aim for would help you get through rehab a hell of a lot easier than, if you're just sort of back on the slog and doing it again.
Yeah, definitely. When I did my ACL the second time, so we didn't qualify for World Cup. The first one I was that we went for, and then when I did my ACL the second time, I only had exactly 6 months literally to get back to get to World Cup to then try to get to Com Games. So it was pretty tough and a pretty tight time limit.
Do you think New Zealand hockey, I mean, you mentioned the roller coaster where we've performed and we've underperformed. I mean, really, for the pool of players that we've got in this country compared to Pakistan, India or Australia, that we don't celebrate the success enough, because really we're punching well above our weight when we are successful. Is that fair, or do you think that we should be performing consistently better New Zealand hockey?
I think we could be consistently better. I mean, I look at the years I played and the turnover of players, like it was massive.
Right.
From when I first made the team to the end. So I think there's parts of it that can be better. I think they could probably look after players a little bit more. I mean, there's no money in hockey, so you're literally doing it for the love of it. So like having to relocate out of a centre, all that kind of stuff's tough. So I think there's little bits they could do better, but I mean, overall, I think we do pretty well as a nation, because there's some tough competition out there.
So with the turnover of players, it doesn't help as far as team bonding and consistency goes as a team. Is that sort of a criticism? Yeah,
definitely. I think when players are coming in and out, you definitely lose that consistency and I guess combinations. Usually on Olympic years, those kind of years, they try and keep the same core of players together for that whole duration leading up to it.
Yeah.
But the years in between, they definitely chop people in and out a bit.
Well, here's a tough question for you. When you look back now and just going through the Olivia Podmore investigations and things, do you think as a national athlete, was there any sort of over the top pressure on you and your team in your New Zealand career in hockey?
Probably not so much me. I know other players probably did a wee bit. But, I mean, to be honest, I try to stay out of a lot of that kind of stuff. I think you're there for your own reasons. You got your own goals, that kind of thing. I think some people get caught up in other stuff, but
I guess that's a fine
it
line
is a fine
between
line.
a coach pushing you to get the potential they can see in you out of you, and then overstepping that mark where, you know, it starts getting in your head too much and affecting you.
I guess it's that whole mental toughness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And each person's different. And yeah, some people probably lack a little bit of mental toughness, and females are a lot. I mean, I've had this conversation with Glenn Moore. Females are a lot different to coach than males. Obviously, they take things a lot more personally. They're more sensitive. So you got to treat it a little bit differently. And I mean, we definitely had instances in the hockey, I guess, when I was playing. But yeah, as I said, I didn't really ever get caught up in it or let it affect me.
You don't appear to be that sensitive to me. You're actually on the other way. You bully me into trying to get to the gym.
Oh, that's good.
Right. So was it 2 Olympics?
2 Olympics, yeah.
And Com Games?
2 Com Games and one World Cup.
What was it like? First Olympics. Where was the first Olympics?
So I went to the Athens one, which was the home of the Olympics,
Wow.
which was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was it like wandering around the village and seeing, like, can you remember seeing some absolute superstars?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's quite a surreal kind of feeling, and probably one you can't really explain to people, or to people that are about to go to it. But it's a tough one in terms of trying not to get caught up in the atmosphere as well.
Because you're there to do a job.
You're there to do a job, and I guess you're in a village with thousands of other athletes. They're all there for the same reason, but it can be overwhelming and quite, daunting as well, because you're in a food hall with everyone. You're all living in the same complex, and then even in the New Zealand house, you're living with heaps of different other athletes. So that side of it's really cool, and I think just the atmosphere of competing at like an event like that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Can you remember some of the real superstars from your Olympics that were sort of, your medal was sore and...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at... Because I guess you saw different ones in the food halls, like some of those basketball players and that, but then you look at who was with us in our New Zealand team, you had like your Sarah Ulmers, your Swindells, those kind of people that you think, you looked up to, or... and it was pretty cool to share their experience as well as, you almost felt like you were a part of it.
And that celebration of success as well amongst the wider group must have been cool.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think New Zealand does a fantastic job of making it like one team, one spirit. So, you got the haka as you're welcoming. They'd come along to the games, do the haka and that kind of thing. And when someone won a medal, everyone was out there, celebrating them as they came back in. So you never ever got that when you went to any other tournament. And I think that was one special thing about an Olympics or a Com Games. You really got to celebrate other people's successes.
Yeah. So the second Olympics, where was that?
So that was Beijing.
Yeah. Man, that would have been a contrast.
Real contrast. Yeah. And a contrast in terms of probably performance too. So Athens, we performed really well.
Yeah.
We finished 6th, but in Beijing we had an absolute mozzer and didn't win a game.
Okay.
And the whole team morale kind of dropped. So totally different experience.
What do you put that down to?
We just didn't perform. We didn't gel as a team when we got there. I'd say people's focuses were different. Some people got caught up in probably the atmosphere of the Olympics.
Right.
It's hard to kind of explain. When you look, because I mean, we trained well leading up to it, although we played China a lot, and maybe we didn't travel around and play enough other teams.
Right.
And some of it could have been to do with our build-up leading into it. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I think we just didn't perform.
Yeah.
We probably only had a handful of players that put their hand up and played well.
And Commonwealth Games, where were those two?
Yeah, so they were interesting. Also, we had Melbourne,
Yeah.
which we lost to on shootout
Yeah.
for a medal. And that was probably pretty disappointing and gutting.
Mm-hmm.
And then India in New Delhi, which was an experience. So I'd been there prior for like just a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back there, but the Com Games was a totally different experience to going there as just a tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was kind of dreading going to a country like that. But it was actually cool. India did well because there was a lot of politics leading up to it.
Right.
And a lot of family pulled out and didn't actually go.
Okay.
But, yeah, we actually did well there and finished with a silver.
Yeah. I think the people I've talked to that have been to India, it's polarising. You either love it or you despise it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see how it'd be so different going on a tour and then going to the Com Games where you're sort of in a village and...
Yeah, well, it was dirty. Like it was, like the turfs were dirty. Like when we went there for the tournament, turfs were dirty, the toilets, it was just, a place you couldn't get out of quicker, got really sick.
Right.
And Com Games, because you're in that village, the food had to be westernised. Like you had to have choices of being able to eat the different countries. So that in that sense, it was better.
Yeah.
And the security was really good.
Yeah.
So mum and dad and they'd pulled pin on going, and then they ended up flying over for the final, which was pretty cool. So
Who was the final against?
Australia.
Okay.
And so we lost that on shootout.
Yeah. What one moment sticks out in your... Obviously, when you get the silver medal hung around your neck, that's pretty cool. But was there a moment or a game that really stands out as one that you'll always remember fondly?
Yeah, probably for me, the Athens Olympics was probably one trip, and then probably one game was the Champions Challenge we won in America. So that was, they played it at night and it ended up getting delayed. So we didn't actually play till 10 o'clock that night, and we ended up winning that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty cool. It was a cool one. It was a cool place to go to. It was on Virginia Beach. And then two, just winning that tournament I guess that there's nothing better than winning, is it?
No.
So that feeling after that, and then probably even qualifying for the Olympics, because we had to go through a qualifying tournament to get there. So winning that to then know that you'd qualified was pretty special as well.
Yeah. Was there a goal that you scored with the Silver Fern that really stands out in your mind?
I didn't score a hell of a lot. But no, probably not really.
Oh, come on. There is so...
No. More set them up, hopes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Awesome. All right. So when you look back on your career and you maybe see a young girl picking up a hockey stick for the first time, what would you sort of take from your career and pass on to them advice-wise?
Yeah, I think if I look back at what I achieved, what I did leading up to it. So I think for me, and I look at my kids now and I look at them and think, shit, that's probably some stuff I used to do as a kid. So always out there they're always out there kicking a ball around or playing rugby on the lawn and always wanting us to get out there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I always grew up being that one that was probably annoying mum and dad, drilling balls up and down the hallway, flicking them into baskets. But I think practicing is a key.
Yeah.
You're never going to get anywhere in life if you don't practice. And it's that commitment and I guess it keeps you accountable to getting there. But if you're driven and you're someone that loves it, and you're determined to get there, then you'll get there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I look at players that they were okay at club level, and then as they got older, because they were committed, they turned up to practice, they kept practicing, they actually made the team.
Yeah. It's about finding that spark, isn't it? That puts the goal in bright lights and makes you charge towards it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be a different coach, or I don't know, different position or whatever it is, but it's from inside, eh?
Oh, definitely. You've got to be determined and wanna do it. Like, you can't just tell your kid that they've got to do it. It's got to come from them at the end of the day, really.
Right, so Charlie came into your life. Was that when you were still playing hockey?
Yeah, so I met him when I did my ACL, actually. So I was meant to be over in South Africa playing in a tournament, and then
good trip that would have been.
would have been a good trip. It was a bit gutting, but anyway. So didn't go, obviously, and then met him in a bar in Christchurch one night, and then carried on after.
And then was it when the kids sort of popped along that you thought, right, I need to hang the stick up? Or?
Nah, so when I did my ACL that second time, because it was obviously a pretty tough and quick turnaround to try and get back, I was, I guess in my mind, I knew I'd done everything I'd wanted to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew you got to have a life after hockey too. And there isn't any money in hockey, so there's only so long that you can carry on doing it and relying on family and them to kind of help you. So in my mind, I had probably to do that, the Delhi Common Games, World Cup, and then that would probably be me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of my plan. And then I actually kind of carried on playing club hockey and that for probably 3 or 4 years after.
Yep.
And then obviously we got married and then had kids. So kind of hung my stick up for good after that.
Yeah. And the gym, F45, looks to be going gangbusters. Tell me about how that all happened.
Yeah, so that obviously, we're actually nearly going 6 years come this February. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, it was just through Kayla Whitelock, who I played hockey with.
Mm-hmm.
They owned the one in Palmy. And then just through Mark Tavendale, because he's actually a partner with us in the gym, we kind of got talking about it and thought, why not give it a crack, bring it to Ashburton?
Yep.
So I went up to Christchurch and tried out a few up there, and then, kind of went from there and brought it to town.
And it's just gone from strength to strength?
Yeah, no, it's been good. Obviously, we've had our challenges, our moments with obviously relocating and then COVID and that kind of times. But I think those kind of times, they bring new things and changes. So, it's good. I mean, I think you just got to keep it fresh, keep it challenging, keep people motivated to want to keep going. But it's good. Yeah, it's good fun. You should give it a crack.
and the change of premises, that's been a good move.
Yeah, definitely. I think for us, it's given us more space, which we needed, and it gives us. We could do probably a lot more out of there than what we could have done in the first place we were in.
And the Carr Family Foundation and the health bus that you take around place, I know that when you can, you get amongst that, and that must be rewarding and satisfying work for you. Especially I know you've had just about every event, I dare say. You've got farmers, stupid blokes who don't get checked up, get their blood pressure or the cholesterol done with you guys, and they get referred. You'd be saving lives, which must be bloody cool. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think for the family, the real purpose was we wanted to give back to the rural communities that we do business in. So instead of just sponsoring heaps of little events, heaps of sports teams, we decided to put our money into one thing. And I guess since COVID, people have seen a real need of not being able to get into doctors.
Yes.
And I think farmers especially, they haven't got that time to get off the farm to, spend that time in town. So for us, we saw that need to get out into our rural communities. Obviously, I think a little bit with people's mental health. So it's been fantastic. We've seen some great results. I think from July through to now, we've already done 250 checks on people. So, and our aim's to get to 600 by July next year.
Wow.
But yeah, really, it's cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
I actually quite enjoy going along and trying to get people in, because otherwise they wouldn't
Yes.
get checked. And I mean, some people walk out of it going, shit, I'm really pleased I
Yeah.
did that. So, no, it is rewarding, and it's cool to see the results after it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you get older too, and it's almost like, oh god, what you don't know doesn't sort of kill you, but which is a stupid thing to say. But like when I went and got cheated and everything was good, it was like, sweet,
Yeah.
you left there with a bit of a spring in your step. It was awesome and nice to sidle up with a guy like Wiggy and that whole mental health stuff that he does too. That's cool, eh?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think he does a fantastic job with the rural community, so it's great to work alongside him. I
Yeah.
mean, we try and do a few events together with some of his stuff. So, and if I can't go, he'll often try and go with the band. So, no, it's a good wee team. Everyone works well together.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has a really good connection with that farming community.
So what's next? What's next for you? Is there anything on the horizon that you're going to tap into?
No, not at the moment. I think for me, life's pretty busy.
Yeah, I'd say.
4 kids and yeah, two businesses is enough
Okay.
to keep me rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for hopping on the couch. I've been chasing you for a wee while to do it, and we're finally connected. And yeah, it's really interesting and a nice addition to the Ashburton archive, I reckon. So appreciate your time.
Hey, no worries.